Welcome trainers! As the leagues around the world started hosting pre-release events to celebrate the upcoming set, so too did our JKL League. In this tournament report you will learn what transpired at our local league and what are the thoughts after we venture forward into the Destined Rivals era. I hope you enjoy your stay, and so does he. So during pre-release event preparation, it is usually recommended to look up all the cards and find all the synergies between the cards of the set. Usually you can use Limitless Page or Justin Basil in this case, but this time, however, I decided not to look any of the cards and I decided to go blind, so to speak, and not check anything and just go play the release event this time. Instead, there is a certain routine I do before each event, and that routine is tarot reading. Tarot reading provides insight into what has already transpired, what is currently unfolding, and what might lie ahead. After this report, we will take a closer look at how the reading turned out and what the future might hold for us. So the reading we will do this time is 3 cards. One is for the past, one is for the current or the present time, and the third one is for the future. So let's go. So the first card that represents the past is 5 of Cups. This 5 is the sadness card. Often it comes for a personal loss, breakup, or other losses, including loss of money, work, or reputation. The card can also show old sorrows resurfacing. Another interpretation is dealing with bereavement, although 3 cups of happiness are overturned, to remain upright. Take what you can from this experience, as there is hope for the future. So the next card that presents the present is called, here we go, it's 3 of Swords. The sword hilts present 3 varying factions. Suffering Heart symbolizes the impact of revelation, sorrow, betrayal, and heartbreak. The card's meaning: you may see painful truth, but you will know exactly where you stand from now on. An additional meaning is intense stress and the need to strike at the heart of the problem. Now the final card of this reading, which presents the future, is card named Chariot. The Chariot reveals a major departure. You make a determined move forward, either physically, through travel or moving home, or progressing in your work and creative ventures. The card often comes up to show an opportunity that brings the financial reward or other marks of success. Relationships progress, you commit or journey on alone, determined to follow your own calling. So the kit I received turned out to be Misty's Gyarados and Team Rocket's Tyranitar. Honestly, this combination is not that bad, considering Misty has good matchup against Typhlosion, or so I thought. So into the games. Round 1, Team Rocket's Weezing and Team Rocket's Tyranitar. So the game starts with opponent having Team Rocket's Coughing, and I start with Lone Larvitar. Game advances slowly, and I get the prize lead with evolving my Larvitar first into Tyranitar. After this, there comes a turn in the game where my Tyranitar has 130 HP remaining, and my opponent has 2 Team Rockets Coughing on bench and 1 active. My Tyranitar is fully loaded and ready to go to take the knockout, but one Coughing has energy, which means that it might get to attack if it evolves. At this point I was considering just passing a turn, because if I attack, Coughing's Alert Smoke will activate and possibly allow him to search 2 more Coughing on his bench, thus allowing Team Rocket's Weezing to KO my Tyranitar and thus shifting the match if my opponent gets Weezing next turn. However, after considering that in pre-release it is very unlikely to hit 4 to 5 Coughings, I decided to attack. It turns out my opponent only had 1 Coughing in the deck, and making Weezing only hit 120 damage next turn, thus allowing me to win the match with Tyranitar. Round 2, Misty's Gyarados and Misty's Starmie. My opponent starts with Misty's Magikarp and I with Larvitar. They play Water Energy to Magikarp, bench Staryu, and then they pass turn. I attach energy to my Larvitar, Body into Ethan's Pichu and Misty's Magikarp. Then I take a retreat and take the first prize with Pichu's attack, which deals 30 damage and I get to draw additional card. This is one of the reasons I ran into it in my deck, and it turns out this way I actually managed to win the match because I was in the prize lead the whole time. Round 3, Team Rocket's Tyranitar and Misty Stormy. First turn I start with Larvitar and Team Rocket's Energy. Turn 2, I go into Puppet, play Evolution with its attack, in which my opponent doesn't get set up. After that, when I have Tyranitar in play, I just take 3 prizes with Team Rocket's Tyranitar and I end up winning the game. At this point I was 3 wins over and I had no clue why I had not faced any Ethan decks. However, my luck was about to change at this point of time. Round 4, Ethan's Typhlosion. I finally faced off against Ethan with 3 Cyndaquils, 3 Gyulabas, 2 Typhlosions and 3 Ethans in the deck. That is one inside deck in the pre-release format, as other players only got 2 or 1 Ethans. This player had 3. So the game starts with my opponent setting up 2 Cyndaquils, attaching energy to Cyndaquil and passing. I attach energy to my lone Larvitar, hitting with 10 damage and milling a youngster supporter card. My opponent plays his first Ethan and searches for 1 Typhlosion and 3 Gyulabas, thus allowing him to search more Ethan adventures in the future. After this turn, the game basically went one-sided of me not drawing anything and Ethan just steamrolling with lone Typhlosion. At the end of this game, my opponent had all Typhlosions set up with 3 Ethans in the discard pile. Lovely. Final round, Ethan's Typhlosion and Misty Stormy. In the final round I face another Typhlosion, only this time my starting hand is lone Larvitar, 2 Fighting Energies, 1 Dark Energy, 2 Rocket Energies and Misty's Gyarados. My opponent starts the game and then adds 1 energy to Cyndaquil and places Staryu on bench. I draw a card which happens to be Beautylar. She evolves her Cyndaquil into Guelva, uses its ability to search for Ethan and with that searches its full line of evolution of Typhlosion. At this point I have 1 lone Tyranitar in play with 30 damage on it and with 3 energies. Game basically ends next turn as my opponent evolves it into Typhlosion with 2 Ethans in discard pile and takes the KO from the Tyranitar. So yeah, I placed 5th in this tournament with 3 wins, 2 losses, and guess what my pulls were from this kit? Like honestly, the best pull of this kit was Dodonso EX, which basically doesn't do anything, probably it can get to work somehow, maybe. And the second X I pulled was Team Rocket's Person X. This is actually pretty good and it goes straight into my deck. I have no idea what I will play with it, but you know it's good. But considering there is a kit and 7 boosters, 2 X cards, it's really bad. But anyway, now that the tournament is over, it is finally time to find out what the tarot cards meant earlier in this video, so let's take a close look. So the first card was 5 of Cups, and it says like this: often it comes up for a revelation, breakup or other personal loss, including loss of money, work or reputation. And this time this card signals the pulls from the past pre-release. Like I have had 2 to 6 cards in the past pre-releases which have been X cards, full art, illustrations, and where I will spend more than the actual pre-release kit is worth. But honestly this time it was very bad. So this card signals the loss of financial, like money. The second card which was present was the 3 of Swords card, and it says like this: the sword hilts present 3 warring factions. The suffering heart symbolizes the impact of revelation, sorrow, betrayal and heartbreak. The card's meaning: you may see painful truth, but you will know exactly where you stand from now on. So this card this time presents the Typhlosion incident. Like at first I didn't realize how strong of a card Ethan's Typhlosion package is, but after facing it in round 3 onwards, it's very strong card. And it was fun to face it, but the power level of this card and consistency with it, it's just a bit too much in the release format. I might test this card in the future in standard, but right now it was very consistent and strong. So the final card which presented future this time was Chariot. The Chariot reveals a major departure. You make a determined move forward, either physically through travel or moving home, or progressing in your work and creative ventures. You commit on journey on alone, determined to follow your calling. So the Chariot card this time represents this channel. As some of you might have noticed, this is the first video on this channel. As I was recording this video and playing in-depth this tournament, I realized I want to share these stories of the local community, what it's really like to play in the Play Pokemon events, what actually happens in the local tournament scene, such as challenges, cups, fun events, regionals, internationals, all that, and what it really means to be a Pokemon TCG player and what actually happens. And just like in any other tournaments, this Gyarados will get its place in my Hall of Fame, where I have all the amazing tournament cards from my past, mostly, and this one will be here sticking with the rest of the cards, waiting for another tournament to happen. At this point the story comes to an end. Thank you for watching or listening to this story, and before you vanish into the lost zone, please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed your stay. You and I both know this is it. Goodbye. Subscribe and let's continue this fascinating journey together.